Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, folks of all stripes, and distinguished guests, put your hands together for the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. Houston, we have Paul Salazar Jr.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Space Cadet Sports Podcast, your Houston sports podcast for die-hard Houston sports fans. From a die-hard Houston sports fan, I'm Paul Salazar Jr., your favorite Houston die-hard fan podcaster. I'm an actor, improviser, creative multi-hyphenate, and of course a proud Houston native, and I have the receipts to prove it. You know, I once stood behind Paul Wall in a Kroger. That's right, folks, I've been telling everybody this week, I'm Kroger famous. So close to H-E-B famous. I'm almost there. I spent the last decade or so as a comedy writer here in LA, and now, well, I'm podcasting. That's what happens when you hit 10 years out here. You start absent-mindedly calling it the 10 instead of I-10, and you start podcasting. Welcome to said podcast. The Space Cadet Sports Podcast started as a passion project because most media is infuriating. As a die-hard long-term fan of the Houston Astros and your other Houston sports teams, here we aren't doom and gloom casual Astros fans or worse, the national media haters. We love our team and root them on and try to discuss the ins and outs of them without too much homerism. Keyword, we try. Welcome returning listeners and welcome new listeners to what my brother calls the Paul Broad Pod Ball Blog. Hey brother, check out spacecadetsports.substack.com for the full blog experience or the full blog experience depending on your interpretation of my muddy pronunciation here, folks. I did not do my vocal warm-ups obviously today. We are recording this transmission here late at night. That's right, it's late night with sports, late night with Space Cadet. Obviously, it's very late for me. I've had a long day. Late night with Space Cadet here in Los Angeles, where I'm joined as always by my co-host and co-producer. She is not very happy about the whole setup here. She wants to relax and take it easy, and I don't blame her. The Raws to my Frasier. Carla, the dog, is here with me today. Listeners of the podcast know that she may get on mic from time to time. If you are listening, you know she's already been on mic. She's got the hot takes on this podcast, and she is letting us know right now. On this episode, we have Late Night with Space Cadet headlines. The Rockets win 50. The Astros lose 3. Texans add speed, and previewing the series with the Twins. I'd like to wish a good day, mate, to all of my Australian listeners. If you're new to the podcast, I hate to brag, but when we first launched, we were almost in the top 100 of Australian baseball podcasts. So we're trying to get there. Good day, mates, to our Australian listeners. If you know an Australian, let them know about us. If you know a Houston fan, of course, let them know too. But let's get to it. Let's get to some headlines here. It's Late Night with Space Cadet here. We thought we'd start off with some headline news, the way late night shows do sometimes. Carla has given up. She's gone to the couch. She's fighting with the blankets, if you hear that in the background. The LA Dodgers started the season 7-0, and congrats for all the wins they bought. But sadly, their record will be 3-0, with 4 of those wins being deferred to 2028. I know I'm going to lean on deferral jokes all season long, but based on the jokes Dodger fans repeat on social media, they're okay with using the same joke for years. Also in news, the New York Yankees stirred controversy with their use of torpedo bats, with some fans saying there should be an investigation launched into them. The bats look to be legal under current rules, but fans were alarmed by the Yankees having a good offense and felt something must have been off. Also in news, your Houston Astros have started the season 2-4 and have a stagnant offense. I know. I'm sure the offense will get productive soon, but this has been frustrating. Even us here at Space Cadet were willing to start a GoFundMe for the heart of the lineup to send them to art class. Because if they're not going to hit, they could at least draw a walk. That's enough headlines for this pod, folks. Let's go ahead and move on to what is happening in Houston sports. Cougs. Whose house? It's the Cougs' house, of course. They play Duke Saturday night in the Final Four. We're looking for their defense to do what it do, but also for their offense to be cooking to make sure there's enough offense to outlast any Duke adjustments and rallies. Let's get to your Rockets. That's right, your Houston Rockets just beat the Utah Jazz as of the recording of this podcast, 143-105, and they get 50 wins on the season. And this guarantees they'll at least have the 6th seed in the Western Conference. Jalen Green scored 22 points. The team was 54% field goal shooting of the night, 42% three-point shooting, with 63 rebounds overall as a team. They were not only doing what they do best with defense and rebounds, but they were shooting very well too after a really rough offensive night in Los Angeles just a couple nights ago. Reed Shepherd gets minutes, 15 points, and he was 5 of 7. Cam Whitmore, who's also been doing very well lately, has got 11 points, is what I'm trying to say. He was 4 of 6. And the Houston Rockets, while we're very excited about them, while they are guaranteed at least the 6th seed, they do have tough sledding ahead. All of their opponents going forward after this Utah Jazz game are going to be playoff contenders. They're going to be playoff test type games. Even if they're not completely high up the playoff contenders list here, they will be mostly hard-fought games here, and these will be tests to see how the Rockets will look for the playoffs. Now, obviously, if head coach Ime Udoka probably doesn't want to give away the secret sauce too early, but we're watching these Rockets to see how they deal with the tests here with these teams in the next couple of weeks. However, there might be a lot of rest for Fred VanVleet. Dylan Brooks obviously picked up his 16th technical on the season, so he won't be available for a game. They might rest some of their veterans and let some of the younger guys play. They were chanting for Reed Shepherd at Toyota Center. I think we'll get to see some of the young guys here. Moving on to the Texans. The Texans signed linebacker E.J. Speed. He has played in Indianapolis most of his career, all of his career, I should say. Speed could be battling for playing time here. He is a good linebacker. This linebacking core is going to be deep. They signed E.J. Speed for 1 year, $3.25 million. And now, we didn't talk about it all podcast long. We have not talked about our beloved Astros. We talked some Houston. We got to headlines. We talked some Houston basketball. Obviously, we just finished the Rockets game here. Getting the benefit of waiting till after the Rockets game to go in on the podcast here has me feeling a little bit more optimistic. However, your Houston Astros got swept by the San Francisco Giants at Daikin Park, and it did not feel good. I was proud of the team for not completely face planting like our poor homie Bregman and getting swept by New York in the first series like they did last year, but their offense did not show up in the right moment all series long against the Giants, and technically all season long. It has not been a lot of offense for these Houston Astros. However, I will say, gotta love it. While other blogs and podcasts may need to drum up your emotions to get clicks and listens, your homie here, Paul, at Space Cadet, will be here for you and your emotions. Now, look, the offense needs to get going. There's no other way around it. We're not going to be fully delusional here on the podcast, but what I'm trying to say is it's still early, and for whatever reason, this team seems to be cursed with starting off hitting poorly every season. And then one day it just seems like they wake up as a team and things start clicking and they remember who they are. This is what the team does for some reason. And if you're new to this, if you're new to watching Astros baseball in April, sometimes it isn't very fun. It hasn't been very fun the last decade. They seem to start off slow for whatever reason. And this season it seems like we need a lot more slugging and we need a lot more hits and overall production, but we're specifically looking at the heart of the lineup, especially in big moments. We can point to the bottom of the lineup guys, to some of the bench guys, but at the end of the day, the heart of the lineup of this team needs to be better at production. They've struggled this season. I'm not trying to avoid that, but why are you not panicking, Paul? Some of you are saying, maybe, one of you or two of you. Everyone else is saying to panic. And if you're not panicking, they're saying you're stupid. And I like being part of an emotional mob. So why are you not panicking, Paul? Why won't you join the emotional mob with us? Listen, I'm betting on Yordan Alvarez. You ever heard of him? I'm betting on Christian Walker. He's known to be kind of good. I'm betting on Yainer Diaz. The heart of this lineup will figure it out. And add them to Jose Altuve being consistent. He's been the consistent heartbeat of the team. He has started off fairly well for this team. He's hitting well. We want to see some more slugging out of Altuve, but he has hit one of the team's 2 home runs so far this season. So while we might look at that one little outfield bobble he had in left, we can't blame Jose Altuve here. He has been good. Isaac Paredes has been hitting patiently. Jeremy Pena has a new swing, and if you add those 3 guys to improved hitting from Christian Walker and Yordan Alvarez, and we know that those guys can hit, I think this team is going to be good. You can't win the season in April. The division, can get lost in April, that's for sure. I'm not trying to be too ridiculous. I'm just saying we all need to calmate just a little bit, because I'm betting Walker and Alvarez turn it around sooner than later. They're Walker and Alvarez. And like I was saying, this team just starts slow all the time. It's what the team does. And if you happen to be one of those people that are out there saying this is not the same Astros that we've known in the past, it's a lot of the same guys. The only 2 new hitters here are truly Christian Walker and Isaac Paredes, right? Arguably, you can put Cam Smith in there, but Cam Smith is a rookie. It's not like we have any kind of sample size from him. This is his first season. This is his first season with the club. He wouldn't know what the culture was like beforehand anyway. So you're saying Christian Walker and Isaac Paredes, because they don't know the culture, all of a sudden going to completely fall off? I don't think so. I think the Astros are going to find their bats again, and I think Christian Walker and Isaac Paredes are going to figure out how to hit at Daikin Park. They're going to figure out how to hit in an Astros jersey. It won't be that scary. And even so, even if you're a little worried about them, torpedo bats are coming. That's right. Joe Espada, the manager for the Houston Astros, did say that the Astros will be experimenting with torpedo bats. They're not going to be for everybody. I don't want everybody on the team to just have a torpedo bat, but they are coming. Let's look at the first road trip of the season against the Twinkies here real quick, folks, before we wrap up this podcast. Tomorrow, Thursday, April the 3rd, Houston, who is 2-4, are playing the Twinkies, who are also 2-4. Hunter Brown will go up against Joe Ryan. Hunter Brown has a loss on the young season. He has a 3 ERA with 7 strikeouts. Diesel was pitching very good in his first game of the season. He just did not get much run support or a win. So hopefully the Astros will be able to turn the offense on. They will have to, if they want to bounce back, turn the page and get a series win here, because they're going up against 3 tough right-handed pitchers the Twins have. Joe Ryan is going to go up against Hunter Brown in his first game, who has a career 3.90 ERA and a 1.07 WHIP. Joe Ryan has a great fastball. So for Joe Ryan, he's got a good fastball. He is good at his walk rate. So the team is going to have to watch for some breaking pitches. They're going to have to make sure that they are getting some long at-bats and not just swinging early at fastballs and chasing fastballs. They're going to have to be a little patient against Joe Ryan. Alvarez has been patient, but he hasn't exactly been patient at the right time. Sometimes he has been patient a little early on and not as patient later in the at-bat. But Isaac Paredes has obviously been patient, but as a lineup against Joe Ryan, this team is going to have to be patient. In the next game, actually Friday, they'll have off. They get a day off on Friday. On Saturday, the Astros will have Spencer Arrighetti take the mound. It will be a spaghetti time. He is 1-0 with a 1.50 ERA on the season with 5 strikeouts. And Spencer Arrighetti will be pitching against Bailey Ober. Bailey Ober is a little bit different, or I should say almost completely different than Joe Ryan as I pull up his page here. While Joe Ryan is, most of his run value comes from his fastball, Bailey Ober, his run value comes from off speed. So for Ober, we're going to want to sit fastball. The team might have a little bit better and easier success against Ober, seeing that they like fastballs. However, Ober likes to get a high chase percentage. He has a really good, or doesn't like to, he has a high chase percentage. So Ober can get some strikeouts. Hopefully the team will not strike out very frequently against Ober. We need to see some patience. We need to see less strikeouts. We need to see some walks. But most importantly, we need to see hits with runners in scoring position. In the third game, the Astros have a brunch game on the 5th where they will pitch Ronel Blanco. He is 0-1 on the season with a 5.40 ERA and 6 strikeouts, having a tough start to his season. Obviously the first 3 pitchers of the Astros had a really good quality start run for their first 3 starts. Ronel Blanco and Hayden Wesneski definitely struggled a little bit more. However, they still looked fairly good in their start, and I think they will build on some success. We'd like to see Ronel have less walks here and have a better day. He will be pitching against Chris Paddack, another right-hander. He has a career 4.53 ERA and a 1.20 WHIP. And Chris Paddack is going to be similar to Bailey Ober here, where he's like a lesser version of Joe Ryan in the sense that he relies on that fastball for his run value. So he doesn't have the chase percentage necessarily as Ober does, but he does have a good chase percentage. So Chris Paddack is a vet. He has been around. He's a Cedar Park, Texas high school former player, and he, I think, the Astros tend to sometimes do very poorly against lesser pitchers and do very well against some of the better talent. I think these 3 pitchers are going to have they are going to present a challenge for the Astros as their offense has completely been stagnant this season. I'd like to see selective hitting here from the Astros. They need to be aggressive at some points and they need to be selective at others. So, we need to see the offense light up. We need to see some slugging. More importantly, the Astros against the Giants, they out-hit the Giants, but the problem is they did not do anything with those hits. Not a lot of them were extra base hits. Most of them were singles. There was a lot of people getting on base, but there wasn't slugging happening. So these Astros need to find their pitch. They need to hit for power, and I feel like it's about to break through. I feel like Christian Walker and Yordan Alvarez won't just be nothing burgers all season. They're going to break through, and then it's going to start to catch on, and everybody on the lineup will start hitting. And I think that will help the bottom of the lineup have a little less pressure and have less strikeouts as well. So I'm feeling good. I'm saying, this is going to be the first series that I'm going to say that do a little bit of a prediction. I don't like to predict, but I'm going to say we win 2 out of these 3, and people start to feel better about your Houston Astros after this series. After this series, they do take on little brother in Seattle, and we go on the road to Seattle for that series. And with that being said, that's going to do it for this transmission, Space Cadets. Thank you so much for listening to this pod. Please hit those buttons for me. Like, rate, review, subscribe, bop it, kick it. Smash all of those buttons for me. We are a small podcast, and we only go as far as our listenership takes us. So please give us some kind of engagement there. We are supported by listeners like you. Please share this with a Houstonian or an Australian in your life and give us a 5-star rating wherever you listen to this podcast. Please check out the Substack. This is a video podcast. If you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple or Amazon, iHeartRadio, any of those places, you can check this out, the video podcast, for free on the Substack, spacecadetsports.substack.com, where you can be a subscriber for free and get almost all of this content is not behind a paywall. Be a free subscriber. Come follow your Houston sports teams with a super fan like me. We have a lot of fun on the Substack, so please check that out. Call in if you'd like to leave a voicemail for the podcast. Obviously, you can't call in live, but you can leave a voicemail on SpeakPipe. That's speakpipe.com/spacecadetsports. Let us know how you're feeling. Reach out on social media at spacecadetsports.bsky.social on Blue Sky, or at Space Cadet Sports on Instagram and Threads and TikTok. Please, folks, if you're going to subscribe to the Substack, I really do appreciate it, but do consider being a premium subscriber where you can support the work we do here at the podcast. Or if you kind of are like, there's really not an incentive to do premium, I have a solution for you. If you're watching this podcast, you see the hat that I'm wearing. It's a USS Smith hat. We are going to start selling hats. You can check that out on the Substack as well. This is a prototype, but we're going to get some cool ones going as... I think this one is cool. Obviously, I'm going to change the number to Cam Smith's new number, but we'll have that on the shop soon. Definitely check that out. So once again, that's spacecadetsports.substack.com. Thank you for listening. Remember to be the best that you can be. Keep your head up, kid. And as always, vamos Astros.
Houston Astros, Houston Texans, Houston Rockets, Houston